I was born for the stage. Ever since I was little, teeny tiny, I always liked being somewhat the center of attention. Um, when I was little, we started performing. At first, it was just at home um, for whoever was in the home. And then over time, we started practicing and actually forming a bit of a show troupe. Um, Again, it started out more with my dad and the sisters, and my mom made the outfits, and we would go and sing on Copacabana Beach. And honestly, I really enjoyed performing. I just really did. I loved that being able to sing, even though the songs were the corniest shit. Let's see. I want to share my love with you, and all you've got to do is say you want me to share my love with you. Yeah, really corny, sappy shit. Um, yeah. Anyways, we would sing on Copacabana Beach, and over time, we added other people into our group that were from our commune, and we would go out and perform. I was around 6 or 7 when we first started doing this, and as much as I loved the excitement of being outside the house, that honestly was a big part of it. Um, we had some very, very long, long days. Um, Easily 8-hour days. Honestly, some days were closer to 10, 12 hours. We had some long, long days. And we would afterwards go up to the various patrons and we would talk with them. We would ask for a colaboração, a collaboration. For our work that we were doing as missionaries and such. And it was a way of raising money. Now, I didn't realize really that we were raising money for something. I mean, I understood, but money doesn't really mean a whole lot to a child. I remember we would get, at this time when I was really small, we would get a little bit of an allowance of like 10 centavos, which I don't even know what that is in dollars. It's definitely not 10 cents. And you could get a little pack of hortelã, or you could get 3 bubalus, which was a bubble gum. And so this was a way for us to venture a little bit outside of our commune. And so for me, it was very exciting. And I loved it. And apparently I'm not very shy, so I do well with that. My dad said that when I was really little, and I was the smallest of the girls to be out there, he would always be a little concerned because I was so small and, I could get kidnapped or anything bad could happen. But I was so insistent that I go by myself and talk to people by myself. I didn't want someone supervising me or standing over me. And I needed that independence. And so this was a common thing for me throughout my life, is I needed that ability to be independent and to do things for myself. So while I was still within the group, I was being supervised. Of course, you were never unsupervised. But typically you would always go in pairs. But I insisted on going alone, and so I often did. So we originally started this on Copacabana Beach, and then later we would also do it performing and such in order to get donations such as food from restaurateurs or at the farmers market, essentially. Various marketplaces where we would provision, where people would donate things for free, and we would perform for these people, and then they would make a donation. And this was a common way of fundraising, and so that was something that we did, and we used performing to accomplish this. And of course, for me, I saw it as a really fun opportunity to get away, but they were long, long, long days. I remember how hot our sandwiches would get in the van. Like, I don't know, we'd have like peanut butter sandwiches, like the most basic peanut butter with maybe, or just butter bread sandwiches. I don't know. We had some really shitty food, and it would get so mushed in the heat, simply just the heat of being trapped in the van for hours, that they would, when you'd eat them, it would just kind of dissolve in your mouth because the heat and the humidity, it just wrecked it. Honestly, there's a little part of me that has nostalgia for those horrible sandwiches. When you're out performing for hours at a time in the heat, in the sun of Rio, and that's all you got to eat, and you're 6, 7 years old. Holy fuck, that's good times. Yeah. um, Later on, we would do performances at orphanages. I know we performed at old folks' homes a lot, orphanages, and once I was a teenager, we would do outreach programs in jails and juvenile centers and such. I don't have pictures of that stuff, but that was later on. We did go through a phase where we were also going to cruise ships and performing there. One of my favorites was this one with this whole glittery background. I think it was a Russian cruise ship, if I'm remembering correctly. It might not have been. And then we would go and eat with the crew downstairs. And there was this one cruise ship that we were on that it was from, I believe, India. And they didn't have anything that wasn't spicy in the cruise food that we were going to eat. Everything was curry and heat, and I have bad acid reflux and I can't handle that much heat. And the only thing they had that wasn't spicy was pistachio ice cream. And as a small child, I didn't know what pistachio was. I do love pistachio now. But I thought I was getting mint ice cream. And I was super excited because ice cream was not a thing. And, I was really disappointed. It was pistachio. And I hated pistachio for a long time until I gave it another shot as an adult. And now I love it. I'm still against pistachio ice cream just because of that. Yeah. Anyways, that was a little snippet from one of our performances. So over time, as we incorporated our family moved into the mainstream communes. Then I was ultimately part of other larger groups. There is one of the first ones that I was in that was just outside of our little bubble of people, our Selah home, our secret home. We had this puppet show, and we performed a lot of places. It seemed like we were constantly practicing for shows or performing shows for quite a long period of time. Like, studies were an aside. Our main lives revolved around practicing, and I was the only one who chose to audition, the only girl who auditioned to be a puppeteer. And I was the only one who sang, danced, and was a puppeteer. So I was the only one doing all three. I was the triple threat of singing, dancing, and puppeteering. But yeah, the puppeteering boys that I was with, they specifically volunteered so they wouldn't have to be performing live, is literally what it was. And yeah, for me, who likes the limelight and likes the attention and likes being on stage and likes being heard, that part was okay for me. For other children in the cult that were not that kind of outgoing, sorts of people, it was very challenging. And not everyone was part of the show troupe, but you would definitely get a level of there was a privilege to it. You had a level of celebrity within the cult that, ooh, the show troupe. You got to have a little more of a. I want to say the schedule was looser, but also it really wasn't, because you had a very different, strict schedule that went around the performing. And as much as I loved it, it was so tiresome. Just extraordinarily tiresome. And yeah, as we got older, I lack pictures. But we had show troops. I was a part of a show troupe pretty much until I went to the States. And when I got to the States at 15, 16, they had a really established show troupe, and they weren't looking to expand on it. And that was fine by me. Plus, if I were to be part of the show troupe, I would have had to move to a commune that was separate from my sisters, and it was more important for me to live with my sisters, and our home wasn't doing a show troupe. So, yeah, they had their official DC show troupe, which performed at the White House and such. And a part of me wishes that I had been a member just for that particular experience, but also I'm glad I wasn't, because our family was going through stuff, and being with my sisters that I will treasure way more than a trip to the White House. But yeah, that is a little bit of my experience in performing, and I still do enjoy getting up and singing, and I'm somewhat known in my general neighborhood. They've probably all forgotten about me, because it's been forever since I've gone out and sang karaoke. But I, for a time, was fairly well known, surprisingly, in the karaoke scene here in the Twin Cities. And I've found, since I used to do a lot of karaoke, I could pretty much go to any karaoke spot, at least in St. Paul for sure. I've even been outside the cities, and people know who I am. It's really bizarre. I have been approached and offered to sing as female lead or this or that in bands and whatever. I don't think it's because I have some super exceptional abilities. I just am not shy, and I don't have a problem with getting out there. Yeah, I can sing okay. It's nothing special. Feel free to check out my karaoke video, although I was really hoarse and had been bear maced that day. So, but yeah, I can hold a tune. Beyond that though, I've always sort of had the ability to reach for the spotlight and snatch it a bit. So, yeah, that is some of my history of performing. And yeah, that's a video. So, ciao. Now for editing. Ugh.